Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Martin Walter, who is the CEO of Nubian Resources, the TSXV listed gold, silver explorer of assets all around the world. If you want to hear our thoughts on that conversation, their plans for next year, and of course the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club. Where you can also find detailed company reports, commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities. There are training videos on there. There's also summaries of other interviews that we've done just to save you a bit of time. And of course, there's a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, safe environment. So do go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. Of course, we'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like, leave your comments below. And if you want to see what we talked about, take a look at the description. Hey, Marty, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, Matthew. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. We've not spoken or heard this story before. I'm looking forward to it. Not least of
Thanks for the invite. Happy to tell it.
Good. I'm intrigued by this one because you're an Australian sitting in Canada with a company called Nubian with assets in Australia, Peru, and up in Canada, and I think in the US as well. So looking forward to it.
Well, we have a new company now, Matthew. Nubian. We've 2020, like you said, we've managed to put together a number of projects around the globe. They've all got some sort of rhyme or reason. I mean, we've got a couple of projects, wonderful projects, gold projects in Victoria, Australia, near Fosterville, where there's a mini-day gold rush coming on there. I'm from Victoria. I'm from Ballarat. That's why we have those. Managed to get off the grid and grab some great assets down there. My history is silver in South America, so. Just because of that, I've got a lovely silver project. We love it in the southern Peruvian Cordillera in Peru. It's an advanced silver project. Had it in the company now for 2, 3, 4 years. And Nubian, when we picked up Nubian and got going with Nubian back in, when was that? Say 2015, 2016, when we started putting the concept, the idea together of going after putting bunch of silver gold projects together. It came to us with some lovely projects in Nevada. So they, to the Excelsior Springs. So they were legacy projects, call that Excelsior Springs and Dumfries. So as a result, we've picked up. I mean, good precious metals projects are hard to come by, and Nubian, great company, great share structure, and we've got some decent projects, some good strong projects in Australia, Victoria. When I think of Australia, Victoria, Nevada, and Peru.
Okay, well, let's get into that. Absolutely. So let's get into that in a second. But first of all, let's just talk about you. So what have you done in the past in terms of making shareholders money or building companies?
What have I done in the past? As you mentioned, I'm Australian. So I cut my teeth as an exploration geologist in Australia, Kalgoorlie, Kambalda, Western Australia, that part of the world. I think every guy, when you go through geology school in Australia, doesn't matter what state you're in, Victoria, New South Wales, the first thing you do when you finish your geology degree is you get in the car and you drive to the west to go get your job over there. So I spent the first 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years in Western Australia as a geologist on the nickel and on the gold side of things in the gold fields of Kalgoorlie, as I mentioned. I got the travel bug after that. Got on the plane, head to South America. Love South America. Got really involved in the culture there, so I decided to stay. Became an exploration geologist up and down the Andes of Peru, Ecuador, Argentina. Managed to get involved with a company called Aquiline, which was a silver company. We developed probably arguably back then in 2006, 7, 8. The largest silver deposit on the planet. It was called Navidad down in the middle of Argentina. Managed to conclude a transaction there with Pan American Silver for, back in 2010, 2011 for $700 million. So it was a great pass. It was a great result for all shareholders. Everybody made money. So that was a wonderful sort of thing to do and wonderful thing to be involved in, to tell you the truth. Since that, I've resided here in Toronto. This is where my life is. I love it here in Toronto. I'm downtown. We're close to the Toronto Stock Exchange. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I'm a geologist by trade, entrepreneur at heart. Had a number of companies. I was CEO of a Canadian company here, development company that's going on very well as well, called Treasury Metals. It's got a project up in Dryden, Ontario. It's doing well. It's into the construction part, that sort of thing. late feasibility, that sort of stuff. So now with my new one, Nubian, which I just mentioned before, it's quite exciting. Be lucky to get a company like Nubian, and lucky to have the quality projects that we have around the world. So it's good times.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. And I noticed that you've kind of brought Eric Sprott on recently. He's a new shareholder in all of this.
Yes.
Which bit did he like the most?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Right. That's a very good question. I think, I think in Nubian, I think we tick all the boxes. We've got wonderful gold projects in Fosterville, Victoria, where, of course, Kirkland Lake has its Fosterville gold mine near Bendigo, Ballarat. I'm from Bendigo, Ballarat, as I mentioned before, so we've got some good projects in that area as well. And I'm sure Eric. I can't speak for Eric, but I'm sure Eric probably likes that area after his investment. Most of the Kirkland Lake investors in Kirkland Lake did very well because of the Fosterville mine. Still doing very well down in that area, and that's what sparked on a mini-day gold rush into Victoria, into that whole area. I mean, it's interesting. That's where I grew up, and that's where I went to university and all the rest. But most guys that even do geology or from Australia, on the eastern side, on the eastern seaboard of Australia, like I said before, do most of the geology in Western Australia, because most investment dollars into gold end up in Western Australia and don't end up in the Ballarat and Bendigo Lachlan Fold Belt until the successes of Kirkland Lake. So we've got some projects in Kirkland Lake. I think he likes that. The other thing is, everybody knows Eric. It's common knowledge. He's a silver bug, and we have a very, very good silver project in the southern part of Peru, as I mentioned, in the southern Peruvian Cordillera. As far as projects going, locations going, if you're looking for a good silver project, this is where you want it in the southern part of Peru. Peru's a wonderful country for mining and exploration and development. Got a great mining culture there and all the rest. So we're happy to have that. And it's, what did Eric see? I think he saw them both actually when he came into the company, it's great to have Eric as a shareholder because we're fully funded now as we go forward.
How much cash are you sitting on today?
4.5, 5 in that range.
Okay.
And we've now completed our acquisitions in Victoria. We've also paid out the remaining payments that we had to on our silver project in Peru, so we own that 100% as well. So it looks like we own all our projects here more or less 100%, Peru and Tasmania and Fosterville East and those sorts of things. So and we still have $4.5 million in the bank, which will be earmarked for 2021 for drilling programs.
Brilliant. You've got that amount of cash, market cap circa 20 million Canadian. You've got a lot of projects. You're going to have to get focused. You're going to have to tell us what drilling programs, what you're planning to do, because anyone looking at this from outside is going, they don't have enough money to develop all of these assets. So right, what's the priority order for you? What's the running order?
Well, yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, I actually like having a silver project and some gold projects, because for me, it gives us what I call optionality. And when I look into 21, 22 and this year, this year 2020, it's been a horrible year. Everybody knows that, in terms of COVID and all the rest of the stuff. And most governments around the world, and I'm not an economist, but most governments around the world have strapped on a lot of debt. And, when that tends to happen, gold and silver become a bit of a flight from inflation. So I'm thinking in 2021, 22, you're going to see precious metals prices in the gold and silver sectors probably increase or probably move forward, I would think. We happen to have good gold projects in Victoria and a great silver project in Peru. So, and I love silver too, because silver is one of these metals that, it's got the dual uses, it's got the dual demand. You can have it in, it's got a demand for solar panels and jewelry and those sorts of things, and it's also a very good investment. So you've got that double demand time or double usage for that metal. So to have optionality that we have, maybe we go and do something smart with the silver department that we have, or maybe we do something separate with our gold department that we have in Victoria. Time will tell. But both of these, all our projects, the ones that are in Victoria, Fosterville East, the Anduit Gold project that we've just acquired, the stuff that's down in Tasmania, the Mathena, the Athena, the Lefroy, as well as the Escalachi project, the silver project that I talked about in Peru. They're all drill ready. They're all more or less drill ready. They need a little bit of tweaking here and there in terms of drill targeting, a few things like that. Maybe a bit of permitting to go with it as well to get the drills on board. But they're all at the drill stage, which gives us, as I mentioned before, 2020 was a year to acquire, to put these projects together into the company. 2021 and 22 will be a year to get out and drill these things. And I for one, I believe that if you're not drilling, you're not really developing these projects. So 2021 is going to be a really exciting year for Nubian.
I get that, but the company's been around in idea form. You said since about 2015, 2016. You put together a portfolio of projects, a lot of which are drill ready. But with $4 million, you still gotta make plans. And when you say time will tell, what's the thought process you've got to go through, the discussions at board level that you go through and say, well, do you know what? Let's pick our best three and we'll go with that. Because you've done Aquilon, the project selling $700 million sale is pretty impressive on anyone's level. That's impressive stuff. So what's the process what are the learnings from that you apply to this to make sure that this company goes from 19 million, 20 million Canadian to, way more than that? What's the path forward?
No, for sure. Well, what we've got it's all about discovery. It's all about drill targeting, discovery, and having smart people and those sorts of things. And, when I look at Victoria, for example, right, there's a modern day gold rush, as I've mentioned before, and I wish I had a map here, but I don't. But if you had a map and you could look at the goldfields, the Victorian goldfields from Bendigo to Ballarat and so forth, you'll see there's a lot of players in there now. There's a lot of companies that are involved. You've got Kirkland Lake, you've got Novo's in there, you've got Catalyst, which is Gina Reinhardt's companies in there. You have ourselves, you have Newmont, you have all these companies that are now piled into that area, right? And they're all looking for the next Fosterville. I mean, that's what really, if you wanted to ask what is the vision of the company? Well, the vision really is to find the next Fosterville in that region. And we have two wonderful projects, Yandut, which has already some small mum and pop sort of fiddling around mining, extraction sort of stuff going on there. And we have the Fosterville East project, which is the closest piece of land or exploration land that you can get really close. We're only 10 or 15 kilometres to the east of Fosterville Mine. So these are two wonderful positions that we have in that gold belt. They've never been drilled. We've got to get the drill on that, and I think what we can do there, because the way the gold forms in that part of the world, it's late stage. It tends to be structurally controlled, but it's all about the sediments and it's all about sedimentology, where and when you get one, you can get them stacked. Bit like what happens at Fosterville Mine. So never been drilled. We get the drills on. We have a discovery at Yandut. We've already got a shaft down there and some other sort of small mining operations going on there, so we know where the gold is to a certain extent. We're going to work from the known to the unknown in terms of the drilling program there. On Fosterville East, which if I had a map again, which is to the east of the Fosterville Mine, the rocks are a little bit hidden. They're under a couple of meters of soil. So there really hasn't been any mapping or any sort of understanding of the rocks there because of the cover. But we're going to be covering that with geophysics to be able to look through that. And those sort of programs are happening in the next month or two. And that'll give us wonderful targets. And if we can show that we have similar geology, get a mineralization intersection, get a gold intersection that is that close to the Fosterville Mine, I think we're in business. And I think you're going to see the valuation of the company really move along from there.
Right. Okay. Australian gold is really hot at the moment, and you've name dropped a whole bunch of people that have been producing successfully, are chasing more, but there's no data per se. There's not being drilled. So you're talking about the sentiment. The market's hot at the moment. So Australia.
That's what makes it so exciting. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It does, but also there's this uncertainty to it. Whereas, do you have information elsewhere with your assets in US?
Well,
Canada,
there is uncertainty.
Peru? So, but I'm just trying to understand when you're starting out, you've got a whole bunch of apps, you've got a whole bunch of optionality on the commodities and jurisdictional risks, etc. Is it just because if the market's hot in Australia, let's focus on that? It's going to be easier to raise capital to develop that thing. What is the conversation?
No, I'd put it. I'd put it. What we would probably do with the 3 projects that we have, and notwithstanding some of the good stuff that we have down in Tasmania, but the 3 projects we have: the Yanduit Gold, the Fosterville East project, exploration project, and the Escalachi Silver project. All those targets will be prioritised in terms of discovery.
Okay.
And all those projects are advanced projects too, other than Fosterville East, of course, right? So we'll be looking at the best targets, either at Escalachi in the silver project down there, and the best targets at Yanduit. Now, at Yanduit, we already know where the gold reefs are. We've got 8 kilometres of gold reefs that are either coming to surface or have been mapped or in prior trenching or have some sort of historical mines on them. There's 6 historical mines in that corridor just at Yanduit alone. So we do know where a lot of the historical gold has come from, put it that way. The question at Yanduit and the question for the company is there continuity? Can we find continuity between these 6 mines? Can we find continuity underneath the historical workings? And that's where the first targeting will be going, the first drilling going. We know there's gold there. It's just a matter of how much and how much continuity can we find at the end of the day. So that's not really an unknown. It's sort of a known. Like I said before, we're going to work from the known rocks, from the known areas on that project to the unknown areas and try to expand the resource, the gold resource in that area.
Okay, so what does $3 million get you? Because you're going to need a little bit for your G&A. So,
well, we have to spend $1 million at Yanduit. I mean, as part of the earning. That gets us a good, and that'll get us a good 5,000 to 10,000 metre drilling program down across that project. In terms of the Fosterville East, well, we're not sure what we're going to be requiring there in terms of drilling because we haven't completed the geophysics there. Once we complete the geophysics and we see that what we're looking for there and what everybody's sort of looking for a lot in the Victorian goldfields is, especially after the success of Fosterville, is we're looking for some north-south structures and some splays that come off that, and we're hoping that the geophysics will map that out for us, and then we can go and target that. So we're not really sure how much drilling will go on at Fosterville East. There will be some drilling, there's no doubt about that. We will get structures. We know that we have what's called the Heathcote, similar faults to the Heathcote fault running through the project, and we have that. So there will be some drilling in the early stage. We just don't know how much. In terms of Escalachi, we've completed. Over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, we've completed 2 programs there. It needs another one. I think we've got 36 shallow holes into that project as it stands at the moment. There's plenty of targets. We've got 80 targets to find on that project already. So that's ready. That's drill ready to go in once we can get through the COVID part of Peru and get an okay for that, and obviously get some permits and some drilling permits from the government. We can get on the project there and get going. We now own that project 100%, so that's really given us the green light to be able to go and do those programs there.
So you talked about permits. What permits are outstanding? Sorry.
Well, we need permits to go drilling in Peru.
But is this just exploration permits? And what type of permit precisely are you
These are exploration.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. And again, when will you be able to tell us how many meters, how much money? Because that's what I'm asking.
Well,
how do you spend $3 million? How do you spend $3 million is the question. Where's the bulk of it going? And the timing of that, and what do you think that's going to tell the marketplace? Is it going to allow you to be able to raise capital going forward? So it's got to work for you. It's got to work extra hard for you because not a lot of it.
Correct. No, well, I think most of it now, because they are all drill ready, these projects, we're at the stage of drilling, which is good. We don't have to go and spend money on developing drill targets and all those sorts of things, to a certain extent. So, you got to see $1 million, $1.5 million being spent on Yanduit. You'll see a similar number, I think, going into Escalachi. Drilling there has to be a little bit deeper. We've drilled the last program. We drilled a lot of holes to about 100, 120 meters. I think this time as we go in there, we're going to be testing more theories at depth as well, because when Escalachi is a very, very big alteration system. It's a system full of lots of mineralization, lots of breccias, lots of quartz veins, those sorts of things. Geologically, as a geologist, is what you want to see. There's a mountain or two of alteration there. There's lots of targets. But what we're thinking some of the thinking there is perhaps there's even a porphyry pushing up from underneath, so we want to test that theory as well. So the holes may be a little bit deeper at Escalaci this go around. And I think, same sort of numbers, million, 1.5 million, maybe up to 2 million, whatever be going into that. So we're fully funded, 4.5 million, and we have enough money for those 2 or 3 drilling programs that I just talked about.
Right, okay. And given the current market, I mean, it's a great market. And we speak to lots of gold and silver precious metal companies every day of the week. There are people who are dusting off projects which haven't seen the light of day for 10, 15 years because in this environment, lots of things work, lots of things get funded. What do you think you're going to need to show the market after you've done your drill program in 2021 to get them interested, given all this white noise out there?
Well, I think a lot of things, just to come back on that comment, I think a lot of things get funded. I don't think a lot of things work.
Oh, true. Very true. Yeah.
I think there's a big difference between funding and some projects work.
I agree.
But what ultimately, I guess, at Yandua and ultimately at Escalaci, the silver project in Peru, on both of them, ultimately, we're looking to post some sort of mineral resource. I mean, the key at the end of the day, the measure of success at the end of the day is, well, how many ounces do you have there? And it's that bank of ounces that will get the market very interested in the company, especially at the low market cap that we have right now, right, and the low amount of shares on issue and that sort of stuff. So, if we can keep the ownership nice and well structured, well managed, if we have good success at Escalaci, because I think already we don't have a resource at Escalaci, but we do have 36 holes in there, so we do have some idea of what we're looking at there, and another program there should be able to get us to a point where we can bring out a decent, healthy resource of silver on that project at some stage during 2021, hopefully sooner rather than later. At Yandua, again, there's no resource at Yandua, but there are lots of historical mines, there's lots of workings and those sorts of things. So, a good, we're hoping 4,000 to 5,000 or 6,000 metres of drilling through there can also post us up some sort of decent starter or initial mineralization and initial resource calculation on that project as well. And that's probably what's going to reflect the value in the company. We have X amount of gold ounces at Yandua, X amount of silver ounces and those sorts of things at Escalaci. And then if we go on top of that, come through with some sort of discovery on our Phosphor East project, then I think we've got a lot to talk about by the end of 2021. And all that's possible next year. All that's possible in 2021.
Okay. Do you think you kind of got the golden ticket with Eric Sprott having invested? I think it's going to be easier to talk to capital markets.
Oh, well, he's invested in a lot of companies. He's put his faith in a lot of companies, and I'm happy he's put his faith in Nubian. Do we have the golden ticket there? I mean, we've still got to perform. Like I said, I think, but we probably may have a better chance than most because we do have our projects are at that drilling stage, and we do have very strong drilling targets, both at as I mentioned several times, at Escalaci and at Yandua. So to put some runs on the board here. I mean, 2020, like I said at the start, was all about acquiring and putting together the portfolio. 2021, 22 is all about putting runs on the board, and that's what Nubian's going about.
What do you do with all these projects that you're not touching? Are you parking them up? Are they kind of cheap to just park it up on the side there? Or are you going to flip them? Are you going to get JV? You're going to farm out? What are the options available to you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the optionality that the company has. For example, and this is public knowledge. If you look back through the releases, and there's another one coming very shortly here, we've managed to do a deal with another company called Athena Silver. It's taken the Excelsior Springs project. It's a gold project in Nevada, just south of Tonopah, North Vegas. It's taken that off our hands, and it's going to be doing a listing here on the CSE in sometime in the early part of 2021. What's significant about that is we are, and we've announced this, we're going to be getting a big share allotment of that company. And then we'll flow those shares at some ratio, at some very good ratio, to tell you the truth. We'll flow those shares onto our investors. So, it'll be a late Christmas present. So one day, you own Nubian, and then you'll wake up and in your portfolio, you'll have another share or another share at some ratio of Athena Silver or Athena Gold or whatever it's going to be called on the CSC. And that'll happen in January, February, March. And we can do similar sort of things if we wanted to with some of the other projects. But none of our projects are worth parking. We've got very strong projects in Tasmania, for example, and we love Tasmania. Tasmania's got a good history, a long history of gold mining and gold exploration, gold discovery. We've got two of the best projects, the Mathena Gold Camp and the Leafroy. And both of these have had significant historical mining on them. And both have both are high grade, very high grade. We're talking an ounce or two in that area, and both have numerous prospective drill targets ready to go as well in that part of the world.
So, what are you going to do with it?
Well, we're probably going to drill them too if we can. If we have success at do it and success in Fosterville and success at Escalachi, then we'll be down drilling those projects as well.
2022.
2022. We hope by 2022 that we are posting a reasonable amount of resources in terms of gold on our gold projects in Victoria, Australia, and along with a reasonable resource, I would think, by that time, that's going to catch the eye of a couple of bigger developers, mid-tier developers on our silver project in Peru.
Right. So I meant, as in, when would you start drilling in Tasmania?
When would we start drilling in Tasmania? Oh no, we'll be drilling there next year. We'd hope to drill there by the end of next year
as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So the money's getting spread thin.
Well, it's Australia. Believe it or not, the drilling's not that expensive because of it's not like drilling in the middle of the Andes and those sorts of things. I mean, drilling in Bendigo, Ballarat, because it's so close to Melbourne. There's lots of infrastructure, as you know, right? Roads, all that sort of stuff. It's not very hard to get to. Access is wonderful. Lots of contractors, those things. So it's not very inexpensive to go drilling in Victoria, which is a good thing for us. Likewise in Tasmania, there's a lot of contractors. I mean, drilling's not a new thing down in Tasmania either. But we'll get to it. We do have warrants as well that are in the money, right, in the company as well. We'll get to it. The share price is moving in the right direction. I said we've got 4.5. I mean, will we have to do another financing down the road sometime down next year, perhaps? But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see at the time. Let's get some runs on the board first. Let's get the drills turning. Let's get some success in the bag here. Let's drill some holes at Yanduit. Let's drill some holes at Escalachi, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I just want to. I think you did say it, but I just want to be clear. So the Athena, it's Athena Silver at the moment, but Athena Gold, whatever they're going to call them. So those shares will come through to your shareholders. You said a nice Christmas present, so it'll be Christmas or early Q1.
Well, it's Christmas plus 2 months. Okay,
got it.
I mean, I think I said a very late Christmas present.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Matthew. So,
understood.
But I mean, I'm a big shareholder of Nubian, and
how many shares?
I want to own more.
How many shares?
How many shares? Personally, north of 4 million shares myself, right? So I'm a decent shareholder decent sized shareholder of Nubian. I think I'm probably touching 5. And those shares that we get for the Solstice Springs, for the Nevada projects, yes, we'll flow them through to shareholders.
Okay.
The minute that transaction concludes and the minute that Athena is listed on the CSE in the new year.
So I know you did really well with Aquiline, and you probably made a lot of money on that one. But do you pay yourself well on this company? In this company?
Do I pay? Well, I mean, the reason why I have a lot of shares, right, is I had to buy a lot of shares. I mean, I didn't get paid at all for a long, long time in the downturn here, right? I think as most mining entrepreneurs probably had to go through. I mean, 2020 has been a very, very hard year COVID-wise. But, the years before that, as you're well aware, right, for the mining sector, weren't that great either, right? Okay, they weren't that great either. So, I mean, it's only really, I think, because of the debt that's been strapped on by some of these countries and all the rest, that we've got a precious metals market, and now it's maybe the time for the miners come 21, 22. So, do I pay myself well? No, I don't. I don't think I would say I pay myself well. I'm more into the point where my money's with shareholders here, and I'm a big shareholder, and my win's going to be to add substantial value to the share price and on the equity side, right? And just in the joy of being successful. Everybody wants to be successful, right? So it's about making discoveries. It's about building resources of ounces. It's about building these projects up to a point where someone cares about them, and that's where my success will be, and that's when I'll get paid.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Marty, thanks for running through that story. As you say, I think this is all about drilling and what you do with the drill bit and where you do it and when you start talking to the market about it. I look forward to seeing which projects you pick and the order of play. That should be exciting.
Well, plenty of news. I mean, the takeaway with Nubian is that we do have a number of projects and we do have a number of drill targets, both in Victoria and in Peru, as I mentioned, and down in Tasmania and whatever. So that's going to bode well for a very good news flow come 2021. And, I realise you've got to keep the market informed. And that's going to be a big part of Nubian going forward next year.
Fantastic.
And for more information, we've just posted, for example, a brand new up-to-date presentation on the company on our website, nubianart.com. You can easily download it from there. Or your viewers and your investors can get more information from that.
Fantastic. We'll put a link in the description below. Marty, thanks very much for today. Pick up the phone, let us know when there's something to talk about. Look forward to that.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. Thanks for your time.